these new fees, I know they're a bugbear for you, but I really don't think they're such a bad thing for Amazon sellers. I actually think some of them are really good.
I disagree. Let's do it. Let's do it. Bring it. Okay, let's go. Battle out. I'm loving it today. I am. McDonald's loving it. We want to talk about Amazon and their fees, right?
I love to talk to you about Amazon fees. Yeah. My favorite subject, please.
Let's talk money. So fees, but basically fees and money that Amazon takes from sellers, the costs that come in, and there's a couple key ones that are kind of like from highlights of 2024, right? Things that when you look back, they're going to be key things that are going to come in. What have we got? We've got the increased fees all around, like the fulfillment fees. Right, they go up regularly, but there's those. There's the big ones. There's the fees around having stock and not having stock and too much stock and too little stock.
Yep.
And there's the new one they just announced for the glory of everybody else, VAT, and how they're going to start charging VAT on everything.
Yes.
So in 500 words or less, let's discuss.
Okay. Fee increase, it's a great thing for sellers.
Yeah, which I think is BS.
It's not BS. There's a very strong logic to this, right? What Amazon is doing is it is penalizing any Amazon sellers that are not taking it seriously, that aren't well prepared. What they're saying is, look, up until now, you've been enjoying our FBA fulfillment network at the same level as everyone that's doing it really well, everyone that's keeping their stock levels up, everyone that's making sure their inventory is well managed. And all they're saying is, look, if you can't keep your inventory well managed, we're going to have to charge you a little bit more, because ultimately, if you can do it, you should be rewarded for managing that stock really well. And I think that's good news for sellers. That's good news for professional sellers that know what they're doing and run well-managed businesses.
We're professional sellers.
Yeah.
We support people who are professional sellers.
Absolutely.
And they still mess it up. Look at like shipping. You have a shipping crisis and you can't get your stock in. So you're about to get penalized. And not only are you getting penalized on late stock and your stock not arriving on time, but on top of that, Amazon's going to go, we're going to take a bit of cut of that as well, just to really kind of kick you while you're down. You can't always control it. You can't, it's like, stock management it's not like I have like a whole bunch of like Christmas elves or Oompa Loompas in the background that are kind of like busting out product for me, right? We live in the real world, and like, so even right now, as we record this, shipping prices have gone from £1,000 a container to like £6,000 a container. There's delays, there's problems, and so Amazon's going to come in and go, well, actually, yeah, we're going to charge you because we can.
Look, you're relying on Amazon's.
Touche, I got you there. I got you there.
You're not. No, I think you have some other points, but look, Amazon's your Oompa Loompas, right? Ultimately, if you're using FDA, you're like, they're the ones that are making sure that these packages are all getting out to children as swiftly and quickly as possible. I'm mixing up analogies here. We've got Willy Wonka and we've got Santa Claus all in this analogy.
I know. We should be careful.
No,
we might
the important point that I'm trying to make here is that, look, you're right. Any of us can get hit by supply chain issues, but in general, if you run a well-managed, well-oiled machine, most of the time you're going to benefit from these fee increases more than those that aren't. And so what that means is Amazon's going to create a moat around well-managed businesses that helps well-managed businesses protect themselves from people that are basically just haphazardly throwing product up onto Amazon and into their fulfillment centers.
I mean, I get the point around too much stock. You send too much stock and you basically use it as a storage or a warehouse. Fine. They have limited space. Okay. Charge extra for that. I get that. But not having enough stock for what they consider to be enough stock, I feel is unfair. I know you had the argument previously where you were saying things like, well, you know, it means that it's more cost efficient for us. Actually, you said the argument.
I was going to say, you're going to make my argument for me here, right? Okay. The simple reason what Amazon's saying is, look, if you have less than 30 days worth of stock, we're going to charge you a premium on your FBA delivery service. The reason why, Amazon's got 20, 30 fulfillment centers all around the UK. And the way they manage the same day, next day delivery service is by holding product as close as they can to the consumer. And ultimately, in order to do this, if you haven't got at least 30 days worth of stock, they can't hold 2 to 3 days worth of stock in 10 fulfillment centers. And if they can't do that, it's going to cost them more, and it takes longer for that.
I don't know if it costs them more per se. I mean, like I say, I still go back to the point where, yes, if you're not managing your stock properly, fine. It's better for even the seller to have 2 months worth of stock sitting in the warehouse, fine. But that's not always.
Me and you know that, and that's why I me and you know that. Me and you know that.
Absolutely. That's the standard. That's the standard we advocate for all the brands we support. But it's not always in their control, and we know that as a reality, right? Your supplier may run out of stock. So then, does that mean that me as a buyer of other people's products, I should then also charge them extra? I mean, I don't know if that's fair. I think I still land on the position where Amazon is putting in standards that are blanket, and because there's no kind of like Amazon police, realistically, they can just kind of do that and get away with it. And I feel like that's unfair. That's my position.
I think you're right, and you're right to be concerned. And I think there are other areas you should be more concerned about as an Amazon seller. So on this one, I think the important point to put here is the reason we know that you want to have more than 30 days worth of stock. The reason we've always had this idea of 2 months worth of stock is simply because we know that actually Amazon has been rewarding this for the last 18 months. Amazon's algorithms have been giving you greater visibility if you maintain more than 30 days worth of stock continuously. All they're doing now is they're charging more. So it's carrot and stick, right? The carrot's been there for a while, but people just haven't realized it was necessarily there. So they're like, right, okay, if we introduce a stick, people become more aware of it. They want to reinforce good behavior.
Well, what they consider to be good behavior, because they wrote the rules. They wrote the algorithm. But anyway, we're going to go in circles. I kind of do, I feel like it's unfair. And there's elements of unfairness here.
They're coming to your point. There are things that we should be more concerned about. And things like the rules that they're bringing out now, the fact that they've literally just in August written to all Amazon sellers and said, hey, look, if you want to have stock available for Black Friday, it has to be with us by mid-October. And by the way, if you want to guarantee that your stock's going to be available for the entire month of December, has to be with us by the end of October. Now, I think that's a great thing to get stock in, and I can see why they wanted to do it. They basically said in the email, look, up until the end of October, we'll inbound stock. In November, December, we're focused on getting products to customers. So we're not really going to be that concerned about inbounding your stock. I get the sentiment. I think it's a really good sentiment. I think August is way too late to tell sellers.
Yeah, absolutely. Lead times, there's so many issues around that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is the kind of thing you'd kind of tell in advance. But that I kind of get in the sense of business practice, right? Because they just have realized we're not going to be able to get enough warehouse, like seasonal staff or whatever it might be. So therefore, we're going to kind of send this notification out. Now, again, I kind of get that. I get that point. It's these kind of like, it's fees. It's these additional fees, which takes us to the next bit, right? VAT.
I think it's really important to note this isn't going to affect everyone in the same way. It's just that if you're really good with your VAT, then it shouldn't affect you too much. The key bit here, Amazon are going to be charging VAT on all their services, not just advertising. And it started at the beginning of August, right? So if you're in the UK, you're operating in the UK, then it'll be you'll get a UK invoice. If you're selling in Germany, you'll get a German invoice. The key bit of this is that VAT element that was essentially sent to you as part of your disbursement that then you'd make good at the end of the quarter, that's going to come out of your disbursement now. And unless you're prepared your cash flow and everything for it, you're going to be getting less money in than you anticipated in the short term. It all cleans itself out by the end of the VAT quarter, which in the UK is a month after, month plus 10 days after the end of the quarter.
But again, that's the pressure on cash flow again, right? So you have to cash flow that. You have to be like, overall, they're just making it harder for people. And I don't know, when your grandparents are like, back in my day, son, we used to walk barefoot in the snow and we had no food and all that kind of stuff. And life was terrible back then. But it's actually the opposite, right? I feel like Amazon was selling online was so much easier when we were starting up. And it's increasingly being made harder and harder, and the hurdles are becoming harder. And then, so people who are trying to get in, I feel like they need to, what you're saying, and I think it's accurate, that they need to be more professional about it. They have to look at It's not this kind of like 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss. I can just kind of pop stuff in and make loads. Yes, it does happen. But for most people, you're going to have to really kind of up your game.
Yeah, you're right. It is a lot harder now than it ever used to be. And I just think the problem with those kind of side hustle approaches is the expectation is that it's a lot easier than it genuinely is. And the fact is, if you don't approach it professionally and with really good organization and management, you can lose a lot of money very, very quickly.
Yep. And that actually takes us to the last bit that I want to kind of flag up is about reimbursements. So we do reimbursements. We should kind of explain this topic. So just in case you're not familiar with it, reimbursements is essentially where Amazon's overcharge you or not paid you some money at some point. And on the 3P side, so if you're selling on Marketplace, they've just changed the rules. And
well, they're about to change the rules.
They're about to change rules. They had a much longer look-back window, but come October, basically they're reducing that look-back window quite considerably. And so if you had missing stock or issues around stock in their fulfillment centers, you have a much shorter window to chase them for it and make a claim against them.
Yeah, and this is going to hit, look, if you haven't already done reimbursements, you will need to get in because the deadline is going to be October. So up until the end of September, you can submit and go back 18 months on a lot of categories. And from October, you'll only be able to go back 2 to 4 months. And if you're an existing seller, you need to be completely aware of this 2 to 4 month look back period because you can't go back any further than that. And so you need to be really quick and organized with those cases, raising those cases and tickets and getting that money back.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's that whole rhythm around like, you have to be way more professional. It's going to make things it's not impossible, right? So it's not the end of the world. I don't want to like paint that picture, but rather to say, you really do need to up your game. You can't kind of just have this as some side hustle thing I'm doing.
I think it doesn't even matter because it's not even just a side hustle. Even if you're a brand that's sort of like selling through lots of other channels and Amazon happens to be one of those, you just need to be really expert on how Amazon looks really similar to other retailers. It looks similar to other online. It's very easy just to assume it is, but it's not. And it's different, and it's different in really nuanced ways. And if you don't understand those nuances, if you don't have that expertise, you can lose out really, really rapidly, and you can lose significant amounts of money too.
Absolutely. So, solutionless, what do you do if you're a brand in this space? What would be our advice? What's our recommendation?
Read through all of this. Get as much knowledge as you can. I think make yourself as expert as possible. Have really good processes, and stick to those processes. If you work processes, if you build processes, this isn't difficult. It's very much about leveraging them.
Each of those, though, I think is going to be one, manage your stock properly, right? Have a really clear view on stock and forecast ahead your demands. There's lots of tools out there, Inventory Planner, a whole bunch of them. Or just have really good spreadsheets. So that's good stock side.
Yeah.
To get your stock in ASAP if you're looking at Q4 to crush it. If you really want to do it right, you need to have your stock in pretty soon. Just so start working on that. VAT. Upworks? It's not Upworks. Was Link My Books and A2X.
And just be really conscious of the fact that those fees are going to be changing so that your expectations on disbursements are aligned.
And reimbursements, if you are using FBA already, make sure you make a move on getting some money back and looking at reimbursements and getting money back, right? So those are my takeaways. The reality is Amazon is going to be Amazon. They're going to be difficult. Jeff wants to get to Mars, so we're all going to contribute. And so if you want to do that, these are the things you need to do.
Not as easy as our old days.
Cool. Okay, let's wrap it there. Thanks, everybody. Have an amazing day. One love.
One love.